When you were a kid in school, were you able to express yourself through your clothing, or were you forced to wear a school uniform that constricted your freedom of expression? School uniforms in public schools have become a very controversial topic in the United States. Uniforms are supposed to create a sense of unity and make everyone equal. However, studies on the topic have shown that school uniforms create the opposite effect. These studies have shown that school uniforms increase bullying and other behavioral issues. Due to increased bullying and problems in schools, the issue on whether to require school uniforms in public schools has been a debate in school districts across the nation. Today, I will first explain the history of school uniforms and explain the issues surrounding uniforms in public schools today. Next, I will discuss some solutions to this issue. And last, I will give my stance with some action steps for the communities. To start it off, I will now explain a brief history of school uniforms in public schools and issues surrounding. According to greatschools.org, the school uniforms in public schools became popular in the 1980s. Why do public schools have uniforms? In the 1980s, public schools wanted to be more appealing to Catholic schools. This is where they adopted the school uniforms from. During that time, President Clinton provided a momentum to the school uniform movement. He said, if it means teenagers will stop killing each other over designer jackets, then our public schools should be able to require their students to wear school uniforms. They were meant to form unity and school pride. Students get to represent their school. They also feel like they belong because everyone is wearing the same thing. School uniforms also diminish economic and social barriers between students. Uniforms are all the same, so you can't tell who's richer or poor by their clothes. They also keep kids from getting bullied by other students for the clothes they wear. Here are some issues about school uniforms. They violate students' right to freedom of expression. Young students should be able to express themselves through the only way they can in school, their clothes. School uniforms also make students a target for bullies from other schools. Other students from other schools can easily make fun of them for their uniforms in a public school. They also cause unfair additional expense for parents who pay taxes for a free public education. Parents who send their kids to public school either don't have the money for private school, or they want their kid to experience everything public school has to offer. Also, the cost. A full uniform can cost from $25 to $200 depending on the school. A full wardrobe can cost $100 to $600 for just 1 week's worth. They're also not very comfortable. Kids are picky about what they wear. Some kids simply don't feel comfortable in certain clothing and won't be able to focus if they don't feel comfortable. They also negatively affect self-image. Uniforms may make one feel insecure about their body. Also, everyone is wearing the same thing, so there's no diversity. Females feel as if they're being sexualized by the fact that most uniforms make females wear skirts. The Kansas City public schools are required to wear uniforms. This went into action starting with the kindergarten class of 2000 to 2001. Each grade is required to wear a certain color polo and khaki bottoms. The students are allowed to decide on either short or long sleeve shirts, and either pants, skirts, jumpers, or shorts, as long as they are the required color and fabric. Now I will give a few examples of solutions to solve these problems that school uniforms are causing. Public school uniforms have not been as successful as schools had hoped. Public schools should only require a dress code. dress codes can include but not limited to no explicit clothing, like no inappropriate words or writing on shirts, pants, hats. Shorts, skirts, dresses, and holes in jeans for all students should be at least 4 inches above the knee or to their fingertips, the bottom of their fingertips. Students' underwear and undergarments should not be visibly seen to the naked eye. And so many more things that could be added to it. There should also be PTA meetings to discuss a school starting up a uniform policy. There should be a discussion on what the dress code should be or whether or not to do uniforms in that school. Many parents will vote against the uniform, making the school have to enforce a dress code based off the parents' liking. There should also be penalties for breaking the dress code, such as clothing should be provided for the students if they break the code first off, such as sweatpants and shirts. The penalty should also be based off how badly the student broke the dress code. If they wore something so revealing that they should just be sent home because they don't have enough clothes to cover them up, or if they just have a shirt that's a little too short and shows some of their stomach, they should just be allowed to change their shirt if they have a shirt, or provide them a shirt. There should also be more anti-bullying programs. Many schools have anti-bullying programs, but none seem to work entirely. Students are too scared to come out and say that they have truly been bullied and picked on by other students. These programs should have an anonymous system where students don't feel scared to inform a teacher or dean or counselor of some sort. And for my final topic, I will explain why I think school uniforms in public schools are a bad idea and should be banned. Reasons why public school uniforms are detrimental to students. Why I think school uniforms are a bad idea and should be banned. They are detrimental to adult development. Students don't get the freedom to be themselves and express their true personality. They're also forced to have decisions made for them, such as having to wear uniforms. They don't get to pick their clothes out every day like normal kids do. They also attract bullies. Even though everyone is wearing the same outfit, it's just one's personality to show more. It just allows one personality to show more, which leads to bullying. Bullies will always find a way to better their fellow students. Also, they're boring. There aren't any lively colors. They're mostly just greens, dark blues, blacks, potentially whites, khakis. Not all that fun. Also, the patterns are all the same. Plaid. Also, having to wear the same thing every day to school for the whole time you're at school is not fun. You get this feeling of boredom, like you feel bored because you're wearing the same thing every day. That's right. Here are some action steps for the communities to help with the public school uniform problem. There are plenty of petitions on public school uniforms, and if you're against them, I highly recommend signing those petitions to get school uniforms taken away in public schools. Private schools, you are choosing to go there, you're paying the money, they are allowed to choose what you wear. Also, if your student's school is thinking about starting up school uniforms and you don't agree, then go and confront the school board and explain how it should be the student's decision on what they wear. Also, encourage your student to be themselves and express who they are. Here are a few discussion questions. Would you want to have to pay the extra money for a school uniform even though your student is going to a public school for free? Do you want your student to not be able to express themselves in school? If your student gets bullied now for their clothing, do you think a school uniform is going to stop it? So today I first explained the history of school uniforms and explained the issues surrounding uniforms in public schools today. Next, I discussed some solutions to this issue, and lastly, I gave my stance with some action steps for the community. Say your student goes to a public school. This school has only ever had a dress code there, but now the school board feels like a school-wide uniform should be put into play. You now have to go and spend hundreds of dollars on enough uniforms for just 1 week. Now your student is being bullied because the other students were able to buy the more expensive uniforms. The bullying was not due to the students. It was due to the fact that the uniforms caused this student to feel like an outcast because they didn't have the more expensive and cool looking uniforms. Uniforms do not belong in public schools.